Hey fellas, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, this is where we keep it raw, real and focused, cutting through the noise, the games and the fluff to get to the truth about women, dating and becoming a man of presence, purpose and power. Today, we're diving into something most men will experience at some point, what really happens in a woman's mind when you go silent. Now, most guys think silence equals defeat. That backing off means giving up. But here's the truth. Silence, when used with intention, isn't weakness. It's power, it's clarity, and the shift it causes in her mind, it's deeper than you think. See, when you stop texting, stop calling, and stop checking in, you're not playing games, you're creating space. And in that space, something starts to happen. Her thoughts start racing, her emotions rise to the surface. Because when a woman is used to your attention and suddenly it's gone, she feels it. Even if she won't admit it. She might act like she doesn't care. She might post like she's thriving, out with friends, laughing, glowing. But if she never did that while you were in her life, don't ignore that shift. It's a reaction, a performance even. It's not that she's over you. It's that she doesn't want you to know she's affected. Because the truth is, silence creates questions, and those questions stir emotions. She might wonder why you pulled away, what you're thinking, if you've moved on, or worse, if you're doing better without her. This isn't about manipulation. This is about emotional gravity. When you take your energy back, it doesn't go unnoticed. In fact, it makes her more aware of how much space you were taking up in her life, in her head, and in her routine. Sometimes, that's when she starts checking your social media, watching your stories, maybe even liking something she ignored before. That's not coincidence. That's curiosity. And curiosity is rooted in emotion. Here's what most men miss. A woman might not reach out directly, but she's paying attention. She's gathering information, watching what you do with your time, how you carry yourself, who you're with. She may not say a word, but the silent watching, that's not nothing. That's her way of staying connected without showing vulnerability. And here's where you need to be sharp. Don't break silence to respond to her performance. Don't chase after breadcrumbs of attention. Stay grounded, stay focused. The minute you chase, the dynamic shifts back, and not in your favor. But when you stay silent, when you hold your frame, that's when the truth comes out. If she truly didn't care, she wouldn't be trying to show you how little she cares. Real indifference doesn't need to prove anything. But a performance, that's for you to see. That's for your reaction. So don't give her that reaction. Don't respond to the bait. Let her wonder. Let her feel your absence. Because sometimes, your silence says more than your words ever could. It communicates self-respect, confidence, and emotional discipline. It shows that your world doesn't revolve around her approval, and that right there is what shifts everything. Before we wrap this up, if you've been learning from these videos and want to go deeper, check out my exclusive course on mastering the dating game. We go way beyond what I can share here on YouTube, covering mindset, attraction, communication, and real-world confidence. Visit stoicapproachtolife.podia.com or hit the link in the description. Invest in yourself, you'll thank yourself later. To every man listening, stop trying to be heard by force. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is go silent and let her feel the weight of your absence. Walk like a man who knows his value, because when you stop chasing, when you stop explaining, when you stop reacting, that's when she starts realizing what she had. She's not watching because she's over you. She's watching because you're. Silence created a question she can't answer. And that question, it's uncomfortable. Why isn't he chasing me? Why hasn't he called? Who's he talking to now? That's the power most men overlook. When you're always available, there's nothing to wonder about. You're predictable. But when you go quiet, you create mystery. And mystery, gentlemen, is addictive. No, she won't admit she's been checking your stories, looking at your profile, or asking mutual friends about you. But behavior always speaks louder than words. and if you're paying attention, you'll notice the shift. The key is you don't need to do anything. Let her watch, let her wonder. The goal isn't to make her feel something, it's to protect your energy and let her reveal her interest through actions, not empty words. That's how you stay in control, not by chasing, but by becoming the one who's worth being watched. Then comes the next move. She'll test you with a random text. It won't be deep, it won't be emotional. In fact, it probably won't even make much sense. And that's the point. It's not about the message, it's about your reaction. Women test with silence, but they also test with breadcrumbs. A quick, "Hey, did I leave my hoodie at your place?" Or "Hope you're good." These aren't accidental, they're signals, probes to check if you're still emotionally available. And here's where a lot of men fall into the trap. They see the message and get excited. She's thinking about me. And maybe she is, but that doesn't mean she wants something real. Often she's looking for relief, not resolution. Relief from the discomfort your silence caused. She's not necessarily reaching out to reconnect. She's reaching out to check if the door's still open. And if you fling that door wide open, with an eager reply, you've just handed her back the control. Now she knows she can come and go as she pleases, that she can check in, stir you up and bounce when she feels better. That's not attraction, that's ego management. And that's not where you want to be. So what do? Stay calm, stay neutral. If you respond, keep it respectful but minimal. No chasing, no validation. Or if you choose not to respond at all, you send an even stronger message that you're not sitting around waiting. And that drives her wild in the best way. Because now she's not just wondering where you went, she's wondering if she ever really had you in the first place. And then there's the one move that catches most men off guard. She starts trash talking you, maybe to friends, maybe on social media, maybe through mutual circles, and you think, why is she saying this? We didn't even end on bad terms. But here's the reality. Silence can feel like rejection, and rejection can bruise the ego. When you stop giving her attention, she's no longer in control of the narrative, so she tries to take it back. And one way to do that is by painting you as the bad guy. Sometimes it's subtle. He was immature. He was just playing games. Other times it gets more personal. But regardless of the delivery, the purpose is often the same, to protect her own ego and reputation. Because here's what happens when you walk away quietly. You leave a blank space, and when people can't fill that space with answers, they fill it with assumptions. They rewrite the story so they feel better about how it ended. But here's what you need to understand. It's not your job to defend yourself. You don't have to explain, justify, or react. You're not here to manage her emotions. You're here to protect your own peace. When you stay silent through the noise, the truth eventually reveals itself. People talk, reputations settle, and anyone paying attention can see through performance. So if she starts acting out, let her. If she starts posting more, talking more, or throwing shade your way, let her. Because the man who knows his value never has to prove it. Your silence isn't weakness, it's control. And control, when handled with calm confidence, is what separates the men who chase from the men who choose. So to every man watching, if you've gone silent and she's reacting, remember, you're not losing her. She's revealing herself. Watch how she responds to the space you've created, because that space, that silence, that's where her real feelings surface. And how you handle it, that's where your power shows. Stay grounded, stay sharp, and never forget. Sometimes the loudest message is the one you never send. And in that space, she knows people will start wondering what happened, who ended it, why you're suddenly gone. And she doesn't want it to look like you were the one strong enough to walk away. So to flip the power dynamic, she starts reshaping the story in her favor. But here's what most men don't realize. This isn't really about you. It's about her emotional discomfort. Talking negatively about you becomes her way of managing the silence. It's how she convinces herself and others that losing your attention didn't hurt, but deep down, it did. Because if it truly didn't affect her, she wouldn't be talking about you at all. And yeah, that part can be frustrating, especially if you know you treated her with respect or if the connection you shared once felt real. But listen carefully. Your job isn't to defend yourself or correct the story she's telling. That's a trap. The moment you respond, explain, or try to fix her version of the story, you've given your energy back to her. You've broken the silence she couldn't handle, and now she wins. So instead, just remember this: how someone speaks about you when you're not in the room says more about them than it ever will about you. If she's still talking, even negatively, it means you're still on her mind. People don't obsess over things they've truly let go of. Let her talk. You stay silent and powerful. Then comes the next phase. She'll try to make you jealous. And no, this isn't just about boosting her confidence. It's about triggering an emotional response in you. When a woman's ego takes a hit, when she feels that sting of being ignored or replaced, she may attempt to flip the script by making you feel like you're the one who's been left behind. Suddenly, she's posting more often, maybe showing more skin, maybe tagging herself at new places, laughing with friends, or with a guy just barely visible in the background. Not her new man, just a blurry figure placed there carefully for your imagination to work overtime. And if you're not grounded, it works. You start wondering, is she already seeing someone? Was she talking to him the whole time? Did I ever even matter? That confusion, that emotional spike, that's what she's after. Because if she can make you react, if she can make you flinch, she regains control. She knows she still holds power. But here's the truth: if she was really over you, if she truly had someone new, she wouldn't need to perform. She wouldn't need to post anything for you to see. Women in healthy, happy new relationships move on quietly. They don't look back. But women who are still emotionally tied to you, they want you to see it. They want you to hurt the way they're hurting. And that's where your power comes in. You don't respond. You don't question. You don't let the performance throw you off balance. Because if she's working this hard to make you jealous, it means your silence is still echoing in her mind. So let her post. Let her play the game. You stay focused, composed, and emotionally grounded, because real power doesn't chase. It attracts. Then, eventually, something even more telling happens. She starts to miss you. That same woman who went cold, who pulled away, who seemed unaffected. Out of nowhere, she feels something shift. It's not just nostalgia, it's discomfort with the silence. It's a realization. And what you have to understand is, many women don't recognize what they had until it's completely gone. Not because they're cold, but because they're used to holding the emotional upper hand. They're used to calling the shots in communication. When you stop talking, when you don't check in, when you disappear from her daily rhythm, you remove that control, and that creates an emotional void. Now this "I miss you" feeling won't always come out in obvious ways. Sometimes she'll say it. Sometimes it's a softer tone in her messages. Other times it's just hints, a song lyric, a memory she shares, a message that feels like a quiet reach for connection. But underneath all of it, it's the same emotion. She's feeling your absence, and she's wondering why you haven't come back. Let's be honest, you've probably felt this too. When someone you were once close with goes completely silent, your mind starts to rewind the best parts. You remember the laughs, the shared moments, the connection. Even if it ended badly, the silence can make the good memories feel louder. That's human, and she feels it too. But here's the difference. You've chosen silence from a place of strength. You've pulled back, not to play games, but to protect your energy, your time, your peace. And when she starts to miss you, it's because that strength created a contrast. A man who doesn't beg, doesn't chase, and doesn't flinch. That's rare. And that rarity, that's what she misses most. So when she comes back, when she tests the waters again, remember this: Her return isn't the reward. Your peace is your ability to remain grounded, centered, and detached. That's the real win. You're not waiting, you're not reacting, you're observing. And in that silence, you're doing the one thing most men are too afraid to do, letting the truth surface on its own. Stay focused, stay grounded, and remember, real presence doesn't seek attention, it creates impact. That's what's happening to her right now. But here's the catch. This feeling isn't always a sign of deep love or true regret. Sometimes it's just emotional withdrawal, like going without a hit of validation and suddenly craving the high again. So don't let her "I miss you" fool you into thinking everything has changed. It might just mean she misses the way you made her feel about herself, not necessarily the relationship. This is why your response matters. If you jump at the first sign of her missing you, you risk falling back into the same dynamic that led to the silence in the first place. But if you remain calm, grounded, and emotionally strong, you force her to reflect on what she actually lost, not just what she's craving in the moment. It's a test of emotional discipline, and it's also a mirror for her, because your silence didn't just trigger her longing, it triggered self-reflection. Maybe she realizes she took your presence for granted. Maybe she realizes you were more valuable than she thought. But that realization only happens when you don't come running back at the first sign of softness. So yes, she may suddenly miss you, but that's not the time to celebrate. That's the time to observe. Watch how she handles it. See if her actions match the feeling, because real change shows up in behavior, not just emotion. She'll try to regain control once your silence starts to sink in. Once she feels the shift in energy, the loss of your attention, the unpredictability, she'll want the control back. And trust me, this isn't about love. This is about power, about emotional leverage, about who's in charge of the dynamic now that you're no longer feeding her ego. And this is where a lot of men fail. They mistake her return for something deeper, like growth, love, or change behavior, but often it's just a power grab. She wants to reset the balance in her favor. She wants to know that if she comes back around, you'll still drop everything. You'll still play her game. You'll still be available the moment she needs reassurance. That's not love, brother. That's manipulation masked as emotion. A lot of men don't want to hear this, but they need to. If you've ever found yourself breaking your silence the moment she shows signs of softness, you're giving up your frame. You're proving you were never really grounded. You were just waiting, and women can feel that. They can smell it, and once they know you're still emotionally under their spell, they'll take the wheel again, and you'll go right back to the same cycle of confusion, disappointment, and self-doubt. This is why you've got to wake up. Stop thinking every move she makes is pure. Stop romanticizing her return. Not every woman who circles back is doing it because she realized your value. Sometimes she just realized she lost her grip, and now she's trying to get it back with a smile, a text, a compliment, or a sudden change in attitude. It's your job to see through the performance. Ask yourself, is she showing up with accountability, consistency, and honesty? Or is she just doing enough to pull you back in? Because the moment you fold and give her the control again, you lose your leverage, and she knows it. Women don't chase men who are easy to pull back. They respect men who hold their ground. So if she's trying to regain control, let her try. But don't make it easy. Don't fall for old tricks. Don't sacrifice your self-respect just because she decided to pop back into your life. This is your test just as much as it's hers. Be the man who's not afraid to walk away and mean it, because once you master that, you stop reacting and start leading. And the moment you start leading, she either levels up or gets left behind. That's how you stay in control. Not by fighting her, but by standing firm in who you are. Here's something men need to hear. The moment you stop chasing a woman, you find out who she really is. Not the version she showed when everything was going her way, but the version that shows up when she no longer has control. That's silence. reveals everything. Her mindset, her emotional maturity, her intentions, and it also reveals your own level of strength. Because if you're always the one giving, chasing, explaining, she never has to show anything real. But when you pull back, she's forced to choose between growth or games. And here's the controversial part. A woman's true respect for you begins when she realizes she can't manipulate you. That's the line most won't say out loud, but it's the one that separates boys from men. Respect doesn't come from being nice. It comes from having standards and sticking to them. Now, I want to hear from you. If you've gone silent on a woman and seen her act in any of the ways we talked about, comment below. Let me know what happened. I read every single one of them and I'll respond, because this channel isn't just about content, it's about brotherhood. Real men, real lessons, real growth. Stay sharp, stay grounded, and remember, you're not here to chase approval. You're here to command respect. I'll see you in the next one.